Hi everyone, Kansi here from atop Serenity Hill. I'm also the host of the membership called the Creative Playground. You can find out more information about that below. Today I'm back in my master junk journal, and y'all, I added zippers to my junk journal. Are you ready for that? There is a zipper in between two pages. It works. You can put things in it. Delightful. And then I made, and it is folded, you will see in the video how that happened. There is a zipper pocket fold out butterfly thingamabobby in the middle of my journal. All right, so let me show you how I did it. Okay, let's go. All right, so first, this was my test zipper. Okay, so I put a zipper between two pages. I haven't finished it yet because I wanted to share what happened. So this was my brilliant idea of trying to put zippers in my junk journal, because why not? You know, I have a bunch of these black zippers, why not add them in? So these two pages were back to back, already bound in the book, and I sewed with a zigzag stitch, you can see on both sides. I sewed the zipper onto this page, and then I had to rip this page out and sew it down because it was literally impossible to sew the zipper. If you've ever sewn a zipper, well, you need everything to be flat. There are different ways to sew the zipper, but if you had done this before you had bound the book, it would be easier. But just FYI, I sewed the zipper on this page, which was still in my journal. Then I ripped this page out so that it was flat out like this way, so that I could sew the zipper on. And then I folded the paper down and I sewed across the top there and the bottom as far in as the zipper foot would go until it banged into the actual journal. And so I have this left open, and so I'm just going to use my art glitter glue to glue this closed, because it doesn't, I want the zipper is where the opening is, so I don't need this side open. And so let me just glue this down. Whoop. And I could add a piece of washi tape. At this point, this is more about just adding something quirky to the pages. I still have the ability to use the pages, the two pages, but now I have this crazy pocket on the inside, in my journal. And what's fun is that the zipper becomes this interesting edge where people are like, there's a zipper in your junk journal? Yes, people, there's a zipper in my junk journal. All right, so now I've created a pocket in my journal. So once I had done that, I was like, whoa, how else could I use a zipper? And I know that not everyone's going to have these butterfly pages, but you could, do something similar with cutting pages out. But I have these, they're like an absorbent watercolor paper of sorts. There is a name for them and it's escaping me. But one is already sewn in my journal. And then I had another one, and I thought, what if I put, sewed this down the center so that it opened like up, and then I could tuck things in on both sides. Why not? Okay, it's a junk journal. We do experimental things. But the white paper is kind of blah. So I'm going to do two things. One is I'm going to decorate this paper so that it kind of blends into the background paper. I might eventually leave this to do something, but let's try it. I'm going to use watercolor. This paper right here was a combination of watercolors and sprays, and I there's sparkles on here, so I'm not 100% sure. It was a variety of things that I used. But if I just, and I have some, well, you know what? I'm not going to use that right now. I brought that out for what I'm going to do to number 2. But the idea is to just kind of see about blending it in a little bit. Okay, so this, as you can see, is very absorbent. It just soaks up water. And I'm just going to play and add some watercolor so that the idea for me is that it would kind of disappear into this page. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. All right, so I painted it and dried it, and so it's blending in. It's not like disappearing, because that's not the whole point. It's kind of hard to do that. And I don't want to spend the time doing it. That just takes time. So I blended it in so it feels more cohesive to the page, and I'm going to let it dry a little more. I was doing it with the heat gun just to get it going. And so I want the top one to be a little more vibrant. So this kind of feels like it'd be attached, okay? And when you open it, it feels like it blends to the page, but I want the one on top to be a little more vibrant. So I had this thought, y'all, of decorating, I'm gonna move the journal off to the side, of decorating the top one with my alcohol inks. So I have not tried this. This is, you are watching this in real time, me working through this. I don't know if it would work with water. Would it be better if I put alcohol on it? So we're about to find out. So I have some Ranger alcohol inks. If you are unfamiliar with alcohol inks, they're just a lot more vibrant. It's my opinion. That's just my opinion. Some watercolors are very vibrant. This is, my watercolors, you know, are as vibrant as they want to be. But anyway, so I'm going to put some alcohol on this absorbent paper. And don't forget, rubbing alcohol, here it is, dries pretty fast because, you know, it evaporates. It evaporates. So let's see what happens. Whoops. And so I'm just going to start, let's see, purple maybe. Should have opened a few of these, but I did not. And I have alcohol just in my little lid here. Cool. So wait, whoa, okay, what about if I could do this? Because I'm, you know, sometimes I'm like, how fast can you do stuff like this? What if, one of my favorite phrases of all time, what if we folded it in half, because then it would just go through. It might mirror it a little more than I wanted to, but y'all, these are experiments. This is how we learn. This doesn't mean don't ever try this at home. Try it at home. See what happens. It's actually kind of fun that it's mirroring it, because that's how butterflies are. Huh! All right, I need a little more alcohol just to saturate the rest of the paper. Some blue, pink, purple. Smush it around. think I have, yeah, I do have a little bit of yellow. And put this green in here, boop. And then I'm gonna dry this. And I'll be back and we'll see what it looks like, and we're gonna try to attach a zipper to this. Okay, so it dried beautifully. Let's put it on top. God, alcohol inks, y'all, just gorgeous. So this would be what it would look like on top of this page, which it goes with the like loose cloudiness, or, you know, softness or blended, maybe that's the word I'm looking for, of the back page, but it's got a vibrancy to it. So it pops the butterfly up against these beautiful blue, okay? So this did not go through as well as I probably would have liked. Some of it did, but the idea is to attach this in, okay? I then always have the ability to play on these pages and add something to them. So I just wanted to get something on it before I attached all this. So here's my grand plan. I have my black zipper, and I want to put the zipper, I'm going to sew it on both sides, all right, on my sewing machine. I'm not taking my camera to my sewing machine. You're going to have to trust me on this. I'm just going to sew it, and then I'm just going to cut out whatever I don't need from the back. So I'm not going to try to cut it and then sew it together. The reason being is that in the end, I want this to match with this. So if I was to cut this in half and try to sew it onto the zipper, it would move, okay? That's the nature of, you know, as much as you want to pin something or clip something, it's going to move. It's going through a sewing machine. I'm a human being. My hands move and all that jazzy stuff. So I'm going to sew it while it's still one piece, okay? And then I also have the ability, I can sew it because it's the zipper. You can cut zippers. Did you know that? I can cut it, or I can leave it and make it be kind of this like weird hanging off. Oh, you can't see that. It would be helpful if you could see that, right? If it's hanging off, I don't know. Let's try, okay? But I'm gonna sew it on and then cut it open, all right? I'll be back. Okay, so zipper sewn, okay? I am going to trim the zipper, I decided. But I am going to cut the zipper. All right. I managed to cut it uneven. Love it. I love it. But I'm going to cut the back out anyway. That's what happens when you do it backwards, y'all. All right, so I have my zipper. And yes, I have to be careful. I've cut off the stop of the zipper. Junk journal. I'll say that till the cows come home. This is a junk journal. All right, I need to cut out. Be careful you don't cut your threads. Okay, collage fodder. Cut these off, snip and snip. All right, and then I might just leave, and I have been using the same, let me pull this forward. I've been using the same thread for this entire journal. So every time I sew something in, I'm just leaving all the strings hanging. So it's another cohesive element to the journal, because the rest of my journal has no cohesive, Come on, y'all. No cohesive. All right, so I've got some strings. All right, so when I unzip, okay, so this is also giving me an idea. I don't necessarily want to glue all of this, because if I just glue, let's say I just glue here to here, then what I've essentially done is created pockets with a zipper. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I'm zipping this up. Oh my God, I love this. It's working. Y'all, it's working. All right, let's start with, let's keep it simple. We're gonna just start with this corner. Okay. Keep it simple, keep it simple, always keeping it simple. And then I'm gonna glue just to the tip of the wing. Now, it's not exactly even. Do I want it even? Not necessarily. All right, the reason why it's not going to be completely even, and I'm got to test this, and actually I'm liking that it's sitting up ever so slightly. I'm going to leave it alone. It's almost giving this, as the wings, when this comes back over here and I glue this and this, it flaps. You know, delightful. All right, let's glue this one. And you know, as I'm doing this, there might have been a different way. As you're watching me, you might think, oh, you know what might have worked easier if she had done XYZ. And go do XYZ when you try it and see how it works, okay? Because this is how we all learn. We watch people figure things out, and then sometimes what they've figured out is not what you would have figured out. You would have done it differently, and that's okay. You do you, always. I don't ever claim to have the answer. I might always have an answer. If you've been around me, you know I have an answer for everything. But I have an answer. It might not be the right answer. Might not be the right time, right whatever for you. But y'all, I now have a zipper pouch in the middle of my junk journal. And it closes because, you know, everything is smushed. The good thing about this paper is that it is, you know, it might wrinkle up. I don't really care about any of that if it gets wrinkled. That's actually kind of fun. Because, you know, it's going to. And I'm okay with that, all right? I'm showing you what happened so that if that bothers you, you can find a different way to glue it down, all right? It might, again, this could have been something I would have done, but maybe before I bound it all together. But I have a junk journal that I have bound, and now I want to do fun, crazy, interactive things to it. And this is fun, crazy, and interactive, and it's delightful. By the way, when in doubt, always use multicolored thread. I have rolls and rolls of all different kinds that are multicolored. They change colors as they go. It's delightful. And yeah, now I can do something here and here. I can tuck stuff in, you know. The other option is that I could glue the whole thing, because then the problem with that is that for me, there's not a lot of space, okay? So leaving the top open might not, it feels like it's just more of a pocket that then has a zipper in it. Oops. It went too high. There we go. Don't go all the way high if you have no stop. But I like this idea, okay, that I can tuck things in with the zipper. And again, it's just fun. It doesn't have to make sense. Yes, there's a giant pocket here. It doesn't have to make sense, okay? It just has to be fun. That's it. All right. I hope you enjoyed that. Try putting a zipper somewhere in your junk journal and see what happens. Because, you know, what's the worst that can happen, y'all? All right. So, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. I have an entire playlist that is all about this junk journal. So you can find that below. If you enjoyed this or are going to try putting a zipper into your piece, comment below. I'd love to know. Or if you try a zipper, come back and tell me. And don't forget to give it a thumbs up. All right. I will be back with more videos in my junk journal and just more mixed media fun in art journaling. So please stick around, and I would love to have you as part of this community. All right, friends.